What?
So the protesters, if we didn't have the National Guard on call and ready, they would rip Los Angeles apart. They come and they check and they say, is the National Guard going to be there? And if the National Guard's being there, they don't even show up.
Have you asked Israel to pause their airstrikes into Iran?
Well, I don't want to say that.
Mr. President.
Former President Donald Trump has asserted that his decision to deploy the National Guard to Los Angeles was a critical move that saved the city from potential destruction. Speaking in a recent interview, Trump emphasized that without the rapid mobilization of troops, the city could have descended into chaos amid growing protests tied to recent immigration raids. If we didn't have the National Guard on call and ready, they would rip Los Angeles apart, Trump said. They come and they check and they say, is the National Guard going to be there? And if the National Guard's being there, they don't even show up. This statement follows a week of escalating tensions in Southern California after federal agents conducted a series of high-profile immigration enforcement raids, which resulted in the arrest of over 300 undocumented immigrants. The raids sparked nationwide protests, with Los Angeles becoming a focal point for civil unrest. Although many of the demonstrations remained peaceful, there were isolated incidents of aggression toward law enforcement, leading Trump to take swift action. Trump ordered the National Guard and a contingent of U.S. Marines into the city despite fierce opposition from state and local officials. California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass condemned the move, calling it an overreach of federal authority and an unnecessary escalation. Legal challenges soon followed, with a federal court initially blocking the federalization of the Guard. However, a later appeals court ruling allowed the deployment to remain in place pending further review. Legal experts remain divided on the constitutionality of Trump's actions. Some argue that the former president acted within his powers under Title X of the U.S. Code to protect federal property and suppress insurrection. Others caution that deploying troops without state consent could undermine the balance of federalism and set a dangerous precedent for future domestic military use. The Department of Defense has estimated that the cost of the operation, which involves over 4,000 National Guard personnel and around 700 active-duty Marines, will exceed $130 million over the next 2 months. Trump has hinted that Los Angeles may not be the last city to see such action, suggesting similar deployments could occur in other urban centers if unrest continues. Despite the controversy, Trump has remained defiant, declaring the deployment a success and attributing the relative calm that followed to the show of military strength. "We saved LA," he said, insisting the presence of troops was the only reason demonstrators backed down. Meanwhile, the legal and political debate over the extent of presidential authority in such scenarios is far from over, with the outcome of pending court decisions likely to shape federal-state relations in the months to come.